we begin this Sunday morning with the story of the week, President Trump's public blowout with Elon Musk and its impact on the president's agenda. The billionaire former Doge cost cutter apparently livid over the president pulling the nomination of Musk ally and longtime Democrat donor Jared Isaacman to run NASA, as well as Trump's big, beautiful bill, which did not include subsidies for electric vehicles. Musk kicking off the public outburst in the middle of the week this week by posting on X that the bill was, quote, a disgusting abomination, and any lawmaker who voted for it should be ashamed of themselves, throwing fire into the Senate plans just as the Senate was trying to advance the bill to pass it and get it on the president's desk to sign by July 4th. The fury exploding into public view on Thursday when Musk took the fight into the mud, suggesting that he should start a new political party and that he's younger than President Trump and will therefore be around longer, and that Trump should be impeached, among other attacks. The president at that point took the high road, getting back to business, posting he does not mind that Elon is turning against him, while reverting back to encouraging lawmakers to pass the bill quickly, as it is a record cut in expenses and the biggest tax cut ever given. Still, the fight seemed to empower a handful of senators who earlier complained the bill was too expensive and that they could not vote for it in its current form, noting that the Congressional Budget Office is estimating that it would add $2.4 trillion to the national deficit over the next 10 years. Here's Wisconsin Senator Ron Johnson with me here last weekend.
I sprang out of the Tea Party movement, campaigning in 2010, doing parades, shouting, "This is a fight for freedom. We're mortgaging our children's future. It's wrong. It's immoral. It has to stop." We were $14 trillion in debt then. Now we're $37 trillion. And I think what has disappointed me about the debate that went through the House, if you even call it that, we weren't looking at the facts and figures. The only figure we ever heard about was $1.5 trillion. Sounds like a lot, but when you put it in context of the $89 trillion we're going to spend over the next 20 years, the $22 trillion in additional deficit we're going to incur, that's $2.2 trillion per year deficit. I mean, it's completely unsustainable.
And the senator joined me again this weekend on Maria Bartiromo's Wall Street on Fox Business, and Johnson stuck to his guns, insisting he cannot support one big bill and that the agenda should be split in two, noting the need to get back to pre-pandemic spending.
We could easily do a skinny bill, a skinnier version, which, I've been recommending that, because then that leaves other elements. It keeps pressure on. It's a forcing mechanism.
Yeah.
If the president doesn't want to use the debt ceiling as a forcing mechanism, we need something else. Again, this can't be a one and done.
Well,
and there's enough senators that refuse to have this be a one and done. And so we're going to work with the administration. I want to see the president succeed.
So there's no way you would support one bill. You want two bills at least.
Correct. Again, I don't want to be a problem child here, but the sooner the administration and our leadership understands that, and again, there's way more than me. Okay, but again, we all want to see the president succeed.
Joining me now in this Sunday Morning Futures exclusive is White House Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt. Karoline, thanks so much for being here this morning.
Thanks for having me, Maria. It's great to see you.
So I know that the president is zeroing in on this bill. We are in the final 11th hour here as the Senate works through it. But let me start with Elon Musk. Does the president have any plans to speak with him this week? Has he spoken to him yet since this fight?
No, he hasn't, and frankly, I don't think the president intends to. The president is very much focused on delivering on his priorities for the American people, and that includes passing the one big, beautiful bill. And I'd like to add that the president shares the concerns of Elon and Senator Johnson about our nation's debt crisis. It's one of the many reasons he decided to run for president in re-election again. And that's precisely why we need this bill to pass and to be sent to the president's desk for signature as soon as possible. Because this bill provides $1.6 trillion in mandatory savings. And when you combine that with the tariff revenue that President Trump's America First trade agenda is bringing in, nearly $3 trillion over the next 10 years, that's a projection, according to the Congressional Budget Office. And when you combine that with the Council of Economic Advisors' projected growth of 3%, we're going to cut the deficit by $8 trillion over the next 10 years. And look at all of the other pro-growth economic policies this president has taken. He understands the concerns about our nation's crippling debt. That's why we need this bill to pass. It will ultimately reduce the deficit, and the president is very much focused on signing this historic piece of legislation.
Yeah, and I know the president has said many times that his ultimate goal is to balance the budget. So we know where his heart is and where his priorities are. But, you know, Caroline, the Washington Post reported after speaking with Steve Bannon that Elon Musk aggressively body-checked Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent in the White House. We're all trying to figure out what happened here and how come this got to this level. What happened? Did he body-check the Treasury Secretary in the White House?
Well, look, when this story originally broke, I said from the podium that there have definitely been healthy disagreements amongst the cabinet and Elon Musk. There were times in which they got frustrated with one another, but I think that really speaks to the heart of this cabinet and the president's team, that they can have these robust disagreements and then still come together to do what's right for the people they are serving. And you saw when President Trump graciously sent Elon Musk back to his companies, Secretary Bessent was there in the Oval Office, along with Secretary Lutnick and Stephen Miller. I was there. The chief of staff was there. And we were all hoping for the best for Elon. And I think it's unfortunate that now that he's gone back to his companies, he is lambasting this bill that he was very much supportive of by all accounts. I mean, he never spoke out against it until he went back to his companies. And that's okay. He has a right to speak for his companies. But the president and the Treasury Secretary and this whole cabinet are working on behalf of the country. So everyone is focused on moving forward now.
I understand, and I want to get to your thoughts on the trade talks tomorrow. But Caroline, what I'm trying to understand here is how rough this got, because the president said that Elon Musk disrespected the office of the president. Now, we know that there was real disrespect in a lot of those X posts from Elon Musk, for sure. But did he actually get physical? Was there a fist fight that he body-checked the Treasury Secretary?
I certainly wouldn't describe it as a fistfight, Maria. It was definitely a disagreement. Although I was not there, I didn't witness it with my own eyes. I heard about it through secondhand reporting. But again, we've moved on from that. The president has moved on from it. And the entire administration is focusing on passing this bill. But also, Maria, cutting waste, fraud, and abuse from our government remains a critical component of this administration's agenda.
Understood. Okay, so tomorrow the trade team is going to be meeting with their counterparts in London from China. So you've got the China and U.S. trade conversation front and center here, as well as the big, beautiful bill. What would be victory from the White House's standpoint in terms of these China talks tomorrow, Caroline?
Well, as the president has said himself, he has always had a very respectful relationship with President Xi of China, whom he spoke to directly last week, and that's why these trade talks will be happening in London tomorrow. And we want China and the United States to continue moving forward with the agreement that was struck in Geneva. The administration has been monitoring China's compliance with the deal, and we hope that this will move forward to have more comprehensive trade talks. Look, the United States and China have strategic interests in one another's markets, and the president is always going to put American workers and industries first, and that in the talks in Geneva really set the table for that. But we need China to comply with their side of the deal, and so that's what the trade team will be discussing tomorrow. And as always, they will provide a readout of that meeting like they always do in the effort of transparency.
And of course, I know that already the tariffs that the president has taken in has already yielded incredible amounts of money, billions of dollars that could be applied to the big, beautiful bill and paying for it. Stephen Miller put a post out about the details of the big, beautiful bill, and he was attacked by one of the reporters apparently on ABC. I saw your tweet about it, and you say last night in a since deleted post, so-called journalist Terry Moran went on a rampage against Stephen Miller. What happened, Caroline?
Well, ABC is going to have to answer for what their, again, so-called journalist put out on Twitter in the wee hours of the night, calling Stephen Miller vile. They said that President Trump is a world-class hater. And this is, again, coming from someone who is supposed to be an unbiased and professional journalist. This is unacceptable and unhinged rhetoric coming from someone who works at a major television network. We have reached out to ABC. They have said they will be taking action, so we will see what they do. But I think this speaks to the distrust that the American public have in the legacy media. And it's why in the White House press shop and in President Trump's White House, we have made so many significant and much needed changes to press access and transparency at the White House. We've invited in new media. We have shaken up the White House press pool. And we also just won a major victory over the Associated Press, who thought that they had a constitutional right to walk into the Oval Office or to fly on Air Force One, and a judge said no. In fact, those are privileged spaces that belong to the President of the United States, and this is a great ruling for democracy. We fought them in court, and we won, and so we will continue to keep or hold journalists accountable. All we're asking for is truth and transparency. That's it.
Of course. And you said ABC is going to take action. What do you expect that action to be?
Well, we'll have to see. I mean, hopefully this journalist will either be suspended or terminated. You cannot go on these unhinged rants against administration officials and the President of the United States. And then clearly he knew he was wrong because he deleted the post as soon as he allegedly woke up this morning.
Karoline, it's great to have you this morning. Thanks for your leadership. Thanks for being here this morning. Thank you.
Thanks, Maria.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.